So a show that has started or is starting on Thursday on Sky Atlantic and is a co-production with Showtime in the US for our at least 3 American listeners is Guerrilla. Not like the animal, but like the movement.
Or
The
like the
militia.
bands. Nothing like the
Not
band.
like the bands, yes. Written and directed by John Ridley, who I believe won an Oscar for 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah.
As the screenwriter, and also has written American Crime, not American Crime Story. Set in the early 1970s in London, stars BAFTA nominee Babu Cisse, Frida Pinto of Slumdog Millionaire fame, as Marcus and Jazz, who are sort of activists during the very sort of racially charged 1970s. He's a professor. He's looking for work. No one wants to employ him because he's sort of viewed as a bit of a troublemaker. She's a nurse. They're both sort of involved in like politics, aren't they? And they've got a relationship with a political prisoner. It's very sort of sprawling, this first episode, I think. They introduce you to a lot of characters. Rory Kinnear is there as this... He's South African, isn't he? He's the head of, like... I can't remember what they called it. It's a separate, like, department in the police who sort of primarily deal with, like, black uprising and things like that, and almost behind, like, police brutality of people of colour. By the end of this episode, basically, they decide the only way to sort of make an impact is to break this political prisoner out of prison and start what I believe is like a guerrilla movement, as the title would suggest. I mean, to me, and I thought this was a bit sprawling and a bit all over the place. I know it's a bit of a sort of setup episode. Yeah. The most interesting character for me is the Rory Kinnear character. I'm assuming it's like an illegitimate son he's had with Wunmi Musaka, who finds him like black men to sort of be ringers in these sort of protests, who then help like rile up the black protesters to war with the National Front and get them arrested and and that scene at the protest for me was my favourite scene, where you have
was gripping.
All these elsewhere though. I don't know if it's maybe the... I mean, I didn't think Frida Pinto was that engaging.
No, I found her dull.
A lot of it was almost reactionary, almost too in your face with all the racism and things like that. As again, like with Line of Duty, I like the more intricate stuff. I loved the scenes where he was at the job centre and they said, you know, you seem like one of the more intelligent ones. Let's try and get you a driving job rather than a porter job. I think all that, the like political aspects of it, it's the violence and the swearing and the general sort of again, the angriness, like we say with Broadchurch. And I get why the people are angry, but I just feel there's a sort of, not a smaller story, but almost like a softer story to tell that is there in certain aspects of this. It was stuff that we feel like we already know. Maybe that's it. That there are things in there that every so often I would go, oh, that's quite interesting, and then it's back to the sort of the riots and things like that, and the breaking people out of prison.
Yeah, I don't think I can add anything more to what you said. I think it was my thoughts exactly. I just found it, the ones that I was doing other things, which is a sin, and I should never do it, but I was. And the scene
I tried not to, but I think it's one of those that did. I think it lost both of us at that point.
The scene that stopped me in my tracks was the scene that you talked about, and apart from that,
the camera work was so good in that as well.
Yeah, and you felt they did do a good job of making.
They they panned into all these policemen who were just there waiting with their truncheons, and just you knew that something was going to happen, but it was that anticipation.
They did a good job of making you feel part of the action there, and the rest of it I felt quite detached from, not because I wasn't interested in the subject matter. I felt like I was being preached at rather than being told a story that I could follow and engage with.
And I think maybe give it another episode, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, as Matt says, this will be on Sky Atlantic Thursday, and then all of them are available. I don't know how many there are, but they're putting all of them within the Skybox set, so you'll be able to find them somewhere. But yeah, kind of disappointing, because it was a different story to tell. It just didn't... I don't know if you could, because it's a setup and there are a lot of characters to introduce, and we've got actors who we like who didn't do a lot. Zoe Ashton, Daniel Mays. I saw one of the Cleat girls was in this as well.
there are really interesting themes, but I just feel at points it feels like a missed opportunity. There are bits where you feel like they're going more for the sensationalist aspect than the more thoughtful route.